Period only, we're giving away absolutely free a superb Ferguson 14-inch colour TV on selected suites. Don't miss this fabulous limited TV offer on now at Cresta Suite Centre, Rippleton Lane, Preston, opposite MFI. Telephone 709-638. Open Friday till 8 p.m. and all day Saturday till 6 p.m.
How do, David?
How do? About ECT. Is it possible that after ECT it can change your thoughts? As in, make something that isn't real seem real?
The problem with questions that start, is it possible, is that the answer must always be yes. The question really has to be, is it likely?
Okay, is it likely?
I would suggest not.
Suggest not. Okay.
It is not designed to give somebody delusions or misinterpretations of visual or emotional sensations.
Yeah, it's emotional sensations I'm talking about.
Indeed.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye. How do Mike?
Testing.
How do Tony?
Hello, Alan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about people's right for fuel, Alan.
Right for fuel?
Yes.
Go on.
I think it's wrong that people's electricity can be turned off, electricity and gas. I think it's wrong that in today's, 1980, electricity and gas can be turned off on people, putting people completely into the dark ages.
Can I ask you
think it's wrong.
Question? Can I ask you a question, Tony? Allow me to tell you, I earn a fairly substantial amount of money, given the work I do, which is pretty crap.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't do much work, and I get quite a lot of money for it, all told. And my overheads at home are not that great. My wife works and earns quite a reasonable wage. If we didn't pay our electricity bill, do you think they should leave our electric turned on?
Do I think they should leave it turned on?
If I chose not to pay our electricity bill, or my wife chose not to pay it, and the electricity was left unpaid, do you think the electricity board should continue to supply us?
Well, I think they should investigate the circumstances, Alan.
Well, when they've investigated the circumstances and they've discovered that we are quite comfortably off, thank you very much, and we're just not paying it because we're arrogant, bombastic rats, should they turn our electricity off?
Well, if you was arrogant, bombastic rats, yes.
So, you do believe that people should have their electricity turned off?
Yes, if they
So
are,
it's the actual
as you
circumstances you're talking about?
if they're arrogant about it, but, there's a lot of people out who are, they're sick, unemployed,
Yes.
things like this,
Yes. Now, we end up then with the question, who should have their electricity turned off for non-payment, don't we?
Yes.
That's the real question.
Yeah.
Now, where do we draw the line, Tony? You don't like where it's drawn at the moment. Where would you like to move it to?
No, I know that, Alan, where do we draw the line exactly? But, there's 3 million plus unemployed.
Yes.
There's a lot of people sick and they're unemployed.
Well, Tony, the majority of those people who are unemployed manage to pay their electricity bills. The vast majority.
Yeah.
So, if we have a minority that do not, by all means investigate why they do not. But at the end of the day, if one family can pay their electricity bill and an identically situated family elsewhere cannot pay their electricity bill, do we cut the non-payer off?
Now, I believe they shouldn't, Alan.
But you've already established that they should cut mine off. That's
if you're arrogantly and, bombastically...
Well, indeed. So if I actually said to the electricity board, as I have all this money coming into the house, if I said to them, well, actually I can't afford it, that would be okay. You'd let them leave my electricity supply there, despite the fact that I earn quite a large amount of money. Together we earn a fairly substantial amount, and yet we don't pay our bill because we can't afford it. You think they should not cut us off?
No, but if you're...
Well, you see, you've got a problem. You've got a problem, Tony. Your problem is this. You want rules about when they should and when they should not cut people off. There are already rules. Now, you don't agree with those rules, you want them changing. But you're not able to identify where you want them moving to.
No, I wouldn't say so, Alan.
Then tell me where you want the rules moving to. Who do you think should have their electricity cut off, and who do you think should be freed from that fear?
Well, I don't believe it should be like 1 and 2. You know, like you're saying, who should be have it cut off and who should be freed from it.
No, what I'm suggesting to you, Tony, I gave you a scenario, and the scenario was 2 identical families. I didn't tell you they were rich, poor, or anything. I just told you 2 identical families. And those 2 identical families, one can afford to pay their bill, and one cannot, so does not. Now, do we cut off the one that doesn't pay their bill? Now, if the answer is yes, we say then, fine. If the answer is no, we say, well, why? Because those people that can organise their financial circumstances in such a way as to pay their bill, and remember, we're talking about 2 identical families, those that can organise it will end up having to pay for the electricity of those that can't. Because somebody's got to pay for it, haven't they?
Yeah, that's... You know, I can't agree with that, Al.
You can't agree that somebody has to pay for it?
No, not that someone has to pay for it.
You can't agree with someone who cannot manage their money having their electricity cut off when an identical family that can manage doesn't have theirs cut off?
Yeah, but you know, you're saying someone who cannot manage the money.
Yes.
You know, say we're talking about someone who's unemployed.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you know, that unemployment
Well,
benefit.
Tony, we must remember that the vast majority of people who rely entirely on welfare benefits do pay their electricity and gas bills.
Yeah.
The vast majority do. Millions every quarter pay their bills. Now, a small percentage don't. Now, why should those millions that do be forced to pay for the supply of those that don't? Because that's what happens. You concede, you are prepared to accept that someone has to pay for the electricity used in this country.
Yeah.
You're prepared to accept that the vast majority of people on fixed low welfare benefit incomes pay their bills. So you have to accept that a small proportion don't. Now, why should those that do have the added burden of paying for those that don't?
Yeah, but I'm not saying they should get off scot-free, Alan.
Then what else can you do to them?
Well, you know, there must be ways and means of
Let me ask you
helping people
another
to pay.
question. Yeah, there are ways and means of helping people to pay, but those means sometimes break down. There are people who, quite honestly, couldn't organise it no matter what happened.
Exactly, yes.
But Tony,
That's what I'm
let me
saying.
ask you a question. If I lent you... No, let's do it the other way round. If I came to you and said, Tony, lend us a £5, I'll give it you back on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah? You might, if you knew me and trusted me, lend me a £5, correct?
Yes.
Now, if on Friday, when you came to me, you said, hey, Alan, you owe us a £5, I said to you, I've not got it at the moment, but if you lend us another £5, I'll give you a 10 on Tuesday. You may well lend me another £5. I very much doubt that you'd lend me another one the following Tuesday. You would cut off my supply of £5s,
Yes, but...
because I've not paid you for what I've had.
But suppose, Alan, when I come to you on the Friday, and you said, I've not got the £5 to give you back, can you give me another week without the £5?
Yes.
You know, perhaps I would do so then, you know, so all I...
So what you're saying then, to take our analogy back to the conversation, what you're saying is the people should say, it'll be all right if we don't have any electricity.
No, I'm not
No
saying that
£5s,
at all.
no electricity.
I'm not saying that at all.
Well, that's what you said in the analogy. Well, what do you think is the answer then, Tony?
Well, to be honest, Alan, you know, I don't really know. I think it's a subject, you know, I phoned you talking about this, and can you imagine someone who's, you know, the electricity is switched off?
Yes.
You know, can you imagine the way they're put into the, you know, the dark ages, so to
Tony,
speak?
I've spent many months living in a cottage without electricity. Not now, some time ago. And it was all right. Now, admittedly, I'm perfectly fit and healthy. Well, healthy anyway. Fit's debatable. But I was fit at the time. And I know of families, friends of mine, relatives in one case, that don't have electricity. It's not reached there yet. They're not dead.
Yeah, but you're
So it
talking
is
about the
possible.
cottage, Alan.
Well, it is possible.
You know-
There was a family in Skelmersdale some years ago who'd gone for 3 years without electricity and quite liked the idea.
Yeah, but, talking about the cottage, I'm talking about someone who lives in an
Tony,
estate.
the people in Skelmersdale were living in an estate. They were living in a modern, not a very satisfactory, but a modern house.
Yeah, well, that was my next argument, Alan.
What?
You mentioned the cottage. I'm talking about someone who lives in an estate.
Yes, well, I'm
a
telling
couple
you
of
that this
kitties.
family in the estate lived without electricity for 3 years.
They did?
Yes. It was in all the papers. I thought you would have seen it.
No, I didn't see it at all.
Anyway, we won't find a solution, Tony, and you don't know of a solution. So it's a bit pointless carrying on, isn't it?
Well,
Quite.
let's hope someone does come up with a solution.
I'm sure somebody will in about 1,000,000 years' time. When we're not using electricity, we're using something else.
Yeah,
Thanks for your call. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
How do, Lee?
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
If you wanted to start a charity, say like you wanted to do jumble sales and such, could you open like a bank account and put all the money into it, and then pay the money to say like the church group in your town and the youth club in your
The
town?
answer to the question, could you, is yes. The answer to the question, would it be legal, is technically no. Because you wouldn't be registered as a charity, and to do that you have to get in touch with the Charities Commission, whose nearest office, I think, is in Liverpool or Manchester.
Okay. Another thing was, if you want to overthrow the government, how would you do that?
To overthrow the government?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I've never contemplated it.
Would you do it like Hitler did it?
No, Hitler was the government.
I know, but he
He
wasn't.
didn't overthrow the government. He got elected.
I know, but when
He got elected. You don't overthrow the government by getting elected. Go away. Read some more novels. Hello, Gordon.
All right, Alan.
Yes?
Listen, I was arguing with a mate today about you being on Brookside.
I see.
I was saying that you was one the reports with a newspaper.
Well, you were absolutely correct.
Well, that's good. Another thing,
Well, we can't wait while you make your mind up. Sorry. How do, Simon?
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, well, I'm at Sixth Form College at the moment, and I do as much work as people on YTS schemes, but they get paid for it, and I don't.
Well, leave. How do, Terry?
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
It's not a boy, it's a girl.
Still called Terry.
Yes.
Could have been a chocolate, really, couldn't you?
Pardon?
You could have been a chocolate.
Could have been anything.
Chocolate orange.
Could you tell me, please, when you come in to do a Besical Lodge or an argument with Besic at Liverpool?
Liverpool? Probably never.
Why?
Because I'm not allowed.
Why not?
Because it's outside our area. People keep asking me this. The nearest I'm going to get, hopefully, is Southport.
Southport.
Hopefully, yeah.
It's a train ride away, yes.
Yeah, well, I suppose it must be.
Yeah.
Depends where you live, really, doesn't it? I'm doing one in Skelmersdale a week on Saturday, but that's sold out.
That's a little too far, yes.
Yeah, I know, and that's it. It's sold out anyway. And that's the only one planned down the south area. I'm doing one in Blackpool on the 25th of April. I'm doing... That's an argue job, just an hour in a club. And then I'm doing Besic at Large in Lancaster. And I'm doing another one in Ulverston. But unfortunately, Liverpool isn't our area. And if I start coming into the Liverpool area and doing one-man shows, then a little-known radio station, Radio City, will be stamping their feet in, pulling their hair out and things.
You've got a lot of fans here.
That may or may not be the case, Terry. Unfortunately, Radio City don't think I should have.
Why not?
Well, they get a bit upset, don't they? Because we both sell advertising, and if everyone in Liverpool's listening to me, then it doesn't do their advertising sales any good. But it's not my fault they're crap, is it?
Not really, no. But we are listening to you anyway.
Well, of course, I credit you with some intelligence.
Of course.
I mean, it's either that or that wimp Kevin Keatings, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
You want to listen to a fairy, wait till Christmas.
Of course.
Eh?
So we can't look forward to you then.
Well, I've been asked, actually, to do an appearance for charity in Liverpool. It's a great
Whereabouts?
big... I don't know yet. I was just asked, in principle, would I do it as part and
course you
parcel of
would.
a whole
Of course
day's...
you would.
Sorry?
Of course you would.
I said I would, yes, because it was charity, you see. I could get away with that. But it was all for Band-Aid. But I've not even heard since I said yes, I would do it. So maybe something will come from that, I don't know.
Oh, well, hopefully.
I promise to let you know if I am.
Okay, thank you.
All right?
Thank you, Alan.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.
How do, Neil?
Hello, Alan.
Yeah,
I'd like to talk about Samantha Fox.
go on.
I don't see why she should make £3 million a year for spreading her breast on page 3.
Well, neither do I, but the easiest way to stop it is to stop people buying the pictures.
Yeah.
Ta-ra. How do, Ian?
Yeah, hello. I'd like to talk about people's attitudes towards musical cults.
Musical cults.
Yeah, like...
Pronouncing that correctly, I hope. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I'm a teddy boy, you see. That's the typical reaction, you see.
You're 20 years out of date, you clown!
That's the typical reaction, you see, right?
Oh, dearie me!
I've got a quiff, right?
You've got a quiff?
And I'm dead proud of it, right?
You're proud of a quiff?
Yeah, and everybody laughs at me.
I can't think why. Not for the Listen, if you saw a fella walking down the street with floppy shoes and a big nose and red hair and people throwing buckets of water over him, you'd laugh at him because he's a clown. So are you. Good night. How do, Ian? No, that was Ian. Jean.
Good evening, Alan.
Evening.
Alan, I'd like to ask you a question, please.
Go on.
Are you naturally born witty, or did you have to have training for it? You know,
I've no idea. I've not had training for it, that I can tell you. Whether I'm naturally born witty is for someone else to decide. I don't think I'm witty.
I've been listening to your show for about 5 nights, and you've really got to me, you know. Really got to me.
Well, Jean, that's reassuring, but I'll tell you, I'm not a tenth as funny as me dad.
No, well, I think you're very good, and...
Well, that's very kind of you, Jean, all right.
There is one thing I would like to ask.
Oh, we're going to get an horrible one now.
You know, sometimes when you're abrupt with people, silly people, you know, that come to you on the line.
Me? Abrupt?
Well,
Jean?
there was an instance
It's a bit
about...
harsh.
Please, let me finish. There was an instance about half an hour ago when an old age pensioner was asking you about a bill. I think it was a gas bill.
Well, it wasn't an old age pensioner. It wasn't an old age pensioner.
Well, I thought maybe it was, and she was referring to old age pensioners. But let me finish. You got a little bit ratty and annoyed, you know. But I listen between your lines, and I think really you're really a soft-centred person.
Well, you must think what you think, Jean.
Honestly, I really do think you're clever, and I really enjoy your show.
Well, that's all we care about, Jean. All right, love. Thank you very much. I am now sitting here, pink as pink can be. Hello, Nigel.
How do, Alan? I'd like to talk about the infrastructure and why I think there should be more improvements made to roads and sewers for me.
Well, go on.
I think that if more money was spent on the infrastructure, it's a benefit on the economy.
What benefit?
Well, if you improve infrastructure, for example, roads, you get more people working, more employment.
Well, you certainly get more people working on the roads.
Well, it will increase employment.
On the roads?
Well, whether or not.
The jobs of construction, yes, the jobs in construction will be there.
And in related industries.
Well, what related industries are those?
And therefore you'll have an increase in income.
Yes.
Incomes, which will then be able to be spent on goods and thus increase demand within the economy.
That's an interesting thought, but what if those goods turn out to be imports? You then have your balance of payments shot at, and your country gets into dire consequences.
Granted, but surely not all that income is going to be spent on foreign goods.
No, not all. I didn't say all, but what if a large proportion of it is? Given that it's the government's money, remember? Because if you're building infrastructure, then what you have is tax, all the different taxes going into the Chancellor's coffers, and then he spends it on the roads, which means gives it to individuals, and if those individuals then spend it abroad, then all he's doing is sending money abroad.
Well,
and that's not a good idea for the country, is it?
Well, perhaps the benefits the benefits of higher employment and easy transport for business would outweigh that deficit, that problem.
Well, when you say easy transport for business, I'm not really sure. Are you suggesting that we build new roads, or are you suggesting that we repair the old ones?
Perhaps a little of both. Perhaps new
A little of both. Well, we already have a little of both, but you seem to be advocating a lot of both.
More, definitely more. I think more. The improvements are needed. Our motorways, for example, are in a terrible state.
Indeed they are, but I don't know that that would improve industry in any way, shape or form.
Well, communication, transport, for example, would be...
Well, are you suggesting that there would be more stuff to carry if we mended the motorway?
Or perhaps it could be done quicker, because, for example, motorways...
I don't think it would be done that much quicker, do you?
Well, there's always delays.
Well, yes, but they're only a couple of hours. I mean, if you make the delivery time between, for example, Preston and London, if you make that 1 hour less, how many jobs is that going to create in consequence? There'll obviously be jobs of the people that are laying the tarmac, but how many consequential jobs will be created from that, do you think?
Yeah, you've got a point there, must admit.
Indeed I have. Seems one you can't overcome. Never mind. Ta-ra.
Right.
How do, Chris? Thank you, Chris. How do, Neil?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about ECT again.
Go on.
I saw a programme about 2 years ago on ECT, and what it was that there was a certain hospital which conducted an experiment whereby that the people going in for ECT would go through the same rigmarole, exactly the same procedure, but at random times the electricity would not go on. But it had the same effect as the people who had the electricity turned on.
Yes.
And I'm wondering whether it's just a mental thing rather than the actual electric current going through the head. These people who are highly depressed.
Well, the answer is, in fact, Neil, yes and no. So there is obviously a physical reaction to the application of the electric current. There is also a certain degree of, well, the doctor said it'll do me good, so it'll do me good.
Yeah.
But there have been cases where the patient has categorically refused to accept that the application of ECT would do them any good, and it did do. And there have been others where the patient has been overjoyed at the fact that they were going to get this golden, superb cure-all medicine, and it did damn all.
Yeah.
So autosuggestion can take place, but it wouldn't exist on its own, as it were.
I see, so...
I'll tell you, there's a guy called Nedger, drinks in the Limes in Warrington with my dad and all his mates. And Nedger's, well, he's got all his chairs at home, but they're not necessarily in the right order. And he likes a bit of rum and coke, and one night, rum and black, and one night they bought him a rum and black twice.
Yeah.
And for the rest of the night, they bought him black currant, and he went home scatty. They had to drag him home nearly.
Yeah.
And he'd only had 2 glasses of rum. Autosuggestion.
Yeah.
Sort of, anyway.
Well, what I was just trying to suggest is that they do this more often, and so, because it's such a controversial subject and people think it's quite dangerous, and so that they do this more often, well, maybe it is done a lot more and not being advertised, because then the autosuggestion is there right now. But if it's done more, then it'll be less dangerous, but the effect will be there more.
It's an interesting thought, and I hope someone takes you up on it, because I would like to see it outlawed altogether. All right, Neil?
Okay.
Thanks for your call. How do, Andy?
Hello. To further my knowledge and understanding, I attended a National Front meeting the other day, and incidentally, that doesn't reflect my views.
Go on, it doesn't matter, you went.
I did go, just to see what garbage they come out with. And it's quite funny, because last night I had 2 people going on about people with ginger hair. And the people I was sat next to, 8 out of the 10 people I was sat next to had ginger hair.
8 out of the 10 people you were sat next to?
Well, I was, on a row with 10 people, and I attended this meeting in Coventry.
Mm-hmm.
And I just...
Well, it's about time you were sent to Coventry. I'm not going to talk to you again. How do, Simon?
Hello, Alan. If I said that I bumped my head and I got a sore on it, where I bumped my head, and then I placed a hacksaw on my head, that's S-A-W, and I said that I had a saw on my head, which saw would it be?
I've no idea. How do, Beryl?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to give you the answer to the other one.
Which other one?
No,
the sewing?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Well, you can say it, can't you? when it comes to writing it, what you've got to say is, the farmer was sowing, and you've got to spell that like S-O-W, and his wife was S-E-W, respectively. You know, in fact, they were both sowing. Are you with me?
Yes, but you spell one way, one the other way, but when you make that final statement, they were, in fact, therefore both sowing, you have to spell it one way or the other.
No, because what you do, you cannot write it that way.
Why not?
Because it doesn't come in the English language.
Well, it may not come in the English language, but it ought to.
But it doesn't.
Why not?
Because the English language is soft, isn't it?
Well, it leaves a lot to be desired, yes. I don't think soft is the right term. If I was trying to learn it from scratch, I think I'd find it quite hard.
Well, it is. It's the hardest language in the world,
I'm sure it must be, but they tell me Russian's a bit of a stickler. But, Beryl, it's got to be possible. Perhaps what we should do is do one of them sort of Greek letters that's a bit of each. You know, like the A and the E they do in the old Greek bit.
Yeah.
Perhaps we should do one of them that's an O and an E, sort of a circle with a line across it.
I don't think that would work. I know I've heard this one before, and this is going back.
There's never been an answer to it.
And that's what they say. You can say it, and the only way you can write it is to write both
the separate statements.
And write like they were both sowing, respectively.
They were both sowing, respectively?
Yeah.
I suppose, yes, you're correct.
That's the only way you can do it.
Indeed. Well, you couldn't say they were both sowing, respectively. That wouldn't seem to
No, you can say it. You can say that they are both sowing, respectively. Well, you can say, in fact, they are both sowing, which they are.
Yes, but you can't write it.
But you can't write it. The only way you can write it is to say they are sowing, respectively.
This is going to be on It's Your Turn on Sunday. I can't lose.
Pardon?
I'm going to have this as a question on It's Your Turn on Sunday.
I'm coming down to Comrades anyway next week.
Are you? Yeah. Well, don't start all this rubbish. At the Comrades, there'll be trouble. All right, Beryl. Look forward to seeing you next Saturday.
Right.
Ta-da.
Ta-ra.
So, Beryl, telling us you can't write it, even if you can say it. How do Ian?
Hello, Mr. Beswick. I've come to the conclusion that most of the people on the show must be mental.
They must be, so get off. How do Sean?
Good morning. Can I tell you a quick joke, please?
Will it be funny or rude?
Very funny and not rude.
I believe that when I hear it. Go on.
I was walking down Manchester Road near Wellington the other day, yesterday in fact, and this man, he comes up to me. He said, can you tell me how far it is to the railway station, mate? I said, aye, 1 mile. He goes, what, 1 mile? I said, aye, 1 mile, roughly speaking. Funny, eh?
Well, you said it was funny, yeah. Oh, hysterical. How do Mark?
Mike.
Sorry, it's Mike.
Yeah. How do Alan? I believe it to be a ridiculous situation when Greater Manchester Council spends £22 million on creating what I believe to be the largest white elephant in the north of England.
I like white elephants.
Do you like spending...
There goes another white elephant.
Do you believe in spending £22 million on an exhibition and event centre when merely 600 yards down the road there is a rotting, squalid slum of deck access housing built of wood, no more than wood, filled with asbestos?
But of course there are limitations laid upon county or metropolitan authorities as to how much money they can spend on housing.
There certainly are, but considering...
So slagging off the now defunct GMC
I'm not necessarily slagging off the GMC.
Who are you slagging off then?
I'm merely pointing out the ridiculous situation where when you have great unemployment in an area and you have trouble with the education systems, that you can go and spend £20 million.
If that investment of what basically is a small amount of money, if that investment manages to draw some employment into the area, then it was worthwhile.
Well, don't you think the money could have been better spent on other things?
In the short term, quite possibly. In the long term, I can understand the argument of investment.
Well, what do you mean by the thing of investment?
The argument that it is an investment. I can understand that. That's within my ability to comprehend.
In an exhibition centre, couldn't you rather invest in
training centre for the unemployed of Manchester.
Well, the problem with training people is it's great, absolutely super, wonderful, but if you've got bug all to do when they're trained, it's not a lot of point, really, as YTS is apparently proving.
Yes, but...
So perhaps what you need to do is not create more training, but more jobs. And an exhibition centre may well create jobs. It may well draw industry to the area.
Well, how can it create jobs?
Well, first of all, it's got to be operated, so there's some jobs it's created.
Well, that's a measly few for £22 million.
It is a measly few for £22 million, but those are just the immediate jobs. They were the jobs of the construction people, of course, but they would have been employed constructing something else. So that exhibition centre exists. Now, just if, it becomes successful, then companies will begin to open branches and indeed to even open from nowhere and want to operate services within that exhibition centre.
Well, surely it's ridiculous because it's far smaller than the NEC, which is the most popular exhibition centre in the north of England.
But the NEC is used virtually 52 weeks a year, and there is a demand. I'm not sure it's as great as the number of centres that are being built, but there is a demand for local centres, much more local than the NEC. I mean, I don't think they're going to succeed by putting on what they put on at the very first, a motor show. That's pointless. That is just a baby version of the real thing, and that is ludicrous.
Well,
but they could succeed in other areas.
Well, this trend of spending, as it seems, it's death throes of the GMC once it knew it was going to be abolished, once the white paper had been proposed. It's also spent something like £8 million on the Corner House, which I also consider to be rather
Well, Mike, I'm not going to sit here while you work through everything you don't like in Manchester. If you want to whinge, I suggest you write to a newspaper. They've got more room for people like you. You've made your point. We've got your point. All right?
Certainly.
How do, Steve?
Hello, Alan.
Yes?
I'd like to complain about the cruelty to animals.
You've done so. How do, Tony?
Hail, Alan, guru of the airways. He of much knowledge and great maturity in years.
But he's still a good catcher.
Oh, Alan, you can't just get to it.
I know, you can't get to it. You're not quick enough. I know I'm not wearing one leg down and one leg up. I've made my mind up. That's it. Finito. I'm going to go back on my word.
Hey, you know that thing? You can't say that. They're both sewing. It's wrong.
Who says?
I said.
Well, who believes you?
It's incorrect. It's like
Stuff incorrect.
Because they're not both sewing. One lad's planting seeds and the other's stitching. So they're not both sewing.
Of course they're both sewing.
No, they're not.
Well, they are.
They're not.
They are.
You can't write...
And do you know how I know? My mum said so. Poetical, you see.
Now, you're not telling me that you've got your mum ringing up now.
My mum always rings up.
So that's why you can never get on.
You're always on. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Attention all decision makers, sales directors, sales managers and buyers. You cannot afford to miss the Lancashire Industry and Commerce Business-to-Business Exhibition at the Exhibition Centre, Norbreck Castle Hotel in Blackpool. This extravaganza on a wide cross-section of industry takes place on the 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th of April, with over 200 companies represented. It's the Northwest's leading industrial event. So make a date in your diary for the Lancashire Industry and Commerce Business-to-Business Exhibition at the Norbreck Castle Exhibition Centre, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th of April.
Hi, this is David Jensen. Just popped in to remind you that this Sunday at 5, I'll be unwrapping the freshest chart on the UK airwaves, the Network Chart. Last week, we had 5 brand new entries from the Pogues, Susie and the Banshees, the Pet Shop Boys, Hipsway, and Cliff and the Young Ones. If you want to find out what the UK's 30 biggest selling singles are first, then join me, David Jensen, right here, Sunday at 5.
It doesn't sound too clever, that, does it, eh? A new entry from the Pogues. It's the kind of thing you take to your doctor. Doctor, I think I've got the Pogues! There's nothing we can do about the Pogues, madam. It's fatal. How do, Gordon? Perhaps we've done Gordon. How do, Carl? Whoops, hello. We've got you, Gordon.
Hello.
Hello, I'm sorry about that. We'll be with Carl in a minute. Hello, Gordon.
I've got a poem for you, Alan.
A what?
A poem.
Oh, not another.
Yeah. Lord's a red Valis of Wood, you're not going to be a fat bastard too.
Dear me, grow up, silly boy. Hello, Carl.
Hello, Alan. Yes, Carl speaking.
Turn your radio off. How do, Steve?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, Alan.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about the IRA, if I may.
Go on then.
I'd just like to say that I agree entirely with everything they do.
And I hope your balls drop off. How do, Moira?
Alan?
Yes?
It's Maureen.
Oh, Maureen.
Yeah. I want some advice if you can.
You did a job on me then, Maureen. I thought you meant me sister. Bless, she comes back from Australia. I'm going to Australia. Go on then, what's your advice you want?
Now listen, I know you can be serious, but I want some advice. Now, about a week ago, I sold my little pedigree puppy. Listen, right? Children have been fretting, and I have, and so has my husband. Now, I've been in contact with these people who I sold it to. Now, they've given me an address where it's gone to, right? Now then, we really want this dog back. Have you any idea what we can do?
Well, you can ask the people who've got it to sell it you back, but unfortunately, you can't make them.
No, I know.
Well, that's that.
But these people who I sold it to, they've sold it to this other couple, and they've only given me an address of a farm. They haven't given me the proper name. Are you with me?
Yes.
The surname. And they said, like, if I try and get it back, these people who I sold it to, who they've sold it to, and these other people, they said if I try and get it back, they might take me to court.
Well, they can't take you to court. You're entitled to try and get it back.
I thought I was.
You can go along and say, can I buy that dog back? I've been very upset since I sold it. They don't have to sell it you, but you can ask. You have no legal right to it, but you can ask.
Yeah, well, God, I'm proper upset here. Alan.
Yeah.
Oh, God. All they've given me is this address in Liverpool. I don't know I'm going to get the surname off them.
Well, you can't compel them to give you the surname, but if you've got an address, you don't need the surname, do you?
Well, I've asked 192.
I'm sorry?
I've asked 192.
Well, Director Inquiries can't give you a telephone number unless you've got the surname.
That's right.
Well, why don't you write to the address? Write to the occupier, and then the address.
Right. So
All right.
I might have a chance of getting it back then.
I've no idea, Maureen. I'm not going to build your hopes up, but if you've been given an address and you've not got a name or a phone number, then the next job is communicate by letter, or go down there and knock on the door.
Yeah, it's a job finding it where it is.
Well, it is, but if you're not bothered enough to find out,
Oh, yes,
Maureen...
Alan, yes, I do. I want to
Right,
know.
well, that's your choice then, isn't it? You've got the address,
Yeah, I have.
so you can either write or go down there, OK?
Thanks, Alan.
Cheers, ta-ra.
Thanks very much. Bye.
I'll do... to Paul.
All right, Alan.
Yes?
I'd like to ask you and all your listeners what happened to the Phantom Flanflinger.
He's still around, but he's not very busy.
He should get you with a flank as you're fat.
Well, I know I'm fat. It'd be easier to hit, wouldn't it, really? Hello, David.
Yeah, well, I'm just ringing up about, the problem with vivisection.
Well, it's not a problem unless you happen to be the creature being vivisected, but go on.
But I was just wondering if you've got any tips for people who'd like to, try and express their views, like, in a greater sort of, magnitude to get some people to listen to them.
Well, you've just done so.
I know, but, this is on, no offence, but it's on a pretty small scale, really, isn't it?
Well, how big a scale do you want? You've got about 100,000 at the moment.
Yeah, well, I'd like to sort of, maybe an MP or something,
Oh, just one MP?
Well,
then write to
something important. I'm not very...
Well, write to the MP then. Write to the Queen. Write to the Prime Minister.
And you really think they're just going to take any notice of me? Just...
No, I don't think she is at all. Well, I'm not taking that much notice of you.
I know, yeah, but...
I'll do Doreen.
Hello. I'm answering the man that came on about the people that can't pay the electric bills.
Go on.
A few months ago I had my meter robbed, the corn meter, and they changed it for tokens. You go down to the electric place.
Yes, I know what they are. Go on.
Well, wouldn't it be an idea for those that can't pay the bills if they just put a token, meter in for those?
Yes, it can be an idea.
you know, I mean, then they could, you know, do like I did. I couldn't afford to pay them and I got robbed. So they just...
What about people that bypass their meters, Doreen?
Oh, well, I don't know anything about
No, I'm not. Oh, you don't? Well, it does happen.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Don't be
about
sorry,
that.
it's all right. You've learnt something new. That's what life's about. All right, Doreen?
Okay,
Thanks for your call.
Bye.
Fred, we'll be with you after Brass.
Roll up, roll up. Visit Cleveley's new open market, Orion Social Club car park, Cleveley's. Every Wednesday and Friday now till October. 9:30 till 4:30. Thank you, Golf.
A far, far better furniture store. Edmondson's of Blackburn, a far, far better furniture store. For lounge, dining room and bedroom furniture, for famous names in quality carpets, for all home furnishings. Edmondson's offers choice. Edmondson's gives first-class service, and Edmondson's guarantees value for money. All round a far, far better furniture store at Darwin Street, Blackburn.
A far, far better furniture store. Edmondson's.
Blinking heck, Dave. Why don't you get a decent radio to match this flash car?
Well, that one cost an arm and a leg, but it's never been much good.
You need to contact West Horton Car Radio, mate. They've got superb systems by Blaupunkt and Panasonic. Hey, and they've got the Blaupunkt D-Stock range at less than half the normal price. None of this distortion like with one of them.
Blaupunkt what?
Blaupunkt. It's German, isn't it? I thought you were supposed to be brainy. Hey, you can also get electric windows, vehicle alarms and car phones fitted by West Horton Car Radio.
Oh, find the right station with West Horton Car Radio, Church Street, West Horton. Phone West Horton 814-229 before you crack up.
It's the great Red Rose Radio Cabaret Night Out. On Thursday, the 17th of April at 7 p.m, our coaches will be leaving Lancaster, Blackpool, Blackburn and Preston, bound for the Wirral's most sophisticated nightclub, the Ritz Cabaret Club. On arriving at the Ritz, you'll be served with a superb basket meal, and then you'll be able to enjoy the voice of international singing star Tony Christie, plus supporting artist comedian Eddie Flanagan. The one and only Wobbly Warren will be there, and will ensure your evening goes with a bang. The fully inclusive price, including the return coach trip, is just £12 per head. So reserve your place now by calling us on Preston 556 301. Don't forget the date, April the 17th, for the great Red Rose Radio Cabaret Night Out.
Hello, Fred.
Hello, Alan. May I refer back to the farmer sowing his seed? As you know, that is spelt S-E-W-I.
I do.
And his poor wife sitting innocently at home, perhaps sowing some...
Well, first of all, Fred, before we go any further, there's not a farmer in the world got a poor wife. They got loads of money, but go on.
Well, she's sitting innocently at home sowing some, say some white coats.
White coats.
S-E-W-I-N-G. But if her neighbouring farmer pops over knowing her husband's out in the field, she could be sowing her wild oats instead of her white coat. Now, if he...
Go on, wash your mouth.
Now, if he comes back from sowing his seed and he picks up a saw and saws some logs, that's S-A-W-I-N-G.
It is true.
And then if he decides to go to the piggery and get out the old boar, take it to the... sows is sowing, which is S-O-W.
Absolutely. Speaking of old bores...
Perhaps the neighbouring farmer was doing some bit of sowing as well. Anyhow, who would be a foreigner trying to learn English?
No one in his right mind.
No.
But then again, there are no foreigners in their right mind, I'm told. Good to talk to you, Fred.
Cheer up.
You don't get any brighter, do you?
Eh?
I say, you don't get any brighter.
A little bit brighter than last Saturday morning.
Aye, with your dicky bow.
Oh, wasn't it smashing?
That's a dirty trick to play on a human being. Right, it was all right on Jeremy, but on a human being it would have been a dirty trick. All right.
Cheers.
We'll see you. How do you, Michael?
Hello, Alan. Not an easy man to get hold of.
That's true.
No, I'm going to take you south for a minute. It was Lambeth Council, was it not, who decided that manhole covers should be renamed because of their...
I think there's every possibility that it was Lambeth councillors, yes.
Should it not all be campaigning for Lambeth Council to be renamed Lambeth instead of Lambeth because of Beth being a female name?
There is that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Lamperson Council.
And what about Stupid? I mean, Stu is a very elegant male name. Should not be campaigning for Stu to be sort of taken out as Stupid and...
Well, no, I think Stupid's all right, you see.
Oh, it is.
I like that, yeah.
Right, what about Ben from Benevolent?
What?
Ben from Benevolent. What about Rose from Red Rose?
Oh, no, you can't remove that.
No, what about Jan from Janitor?
What? I'm getting an headache.
All right, thanks, Alan.
Cheers.
I'm a bit mixed up. I've forgotten who it is now. Who? Latham? That's not a name, it's a place. Are they all ringing? Are you called Latham?
Leighton.
Leighton. Oh, that's all right then. What do you want?
What do you think about the Grand National?
I think it's a long way to run. How do to our final caller this evening, Mary?
Marion. Hello, Alan.
Hello.
Thank you for pointing out to that lady that pensioners can read.
Well, yes, I mean, why do people think once you get over 50 you go potty?
I'm 69 and a half, Alan, and I moved into this flat after 8 weeks. I got my electric bill, and the meters are wired up wrong. It's this stupid overhead heating which they're going to change. It's no good. I used to sit with a hot water bottle and a coat over me to save my other size in between, you know. And the meters were wired up wrong. When I went down to the electric place to point it out, you'd have thought I was senile. She said, that rate, you owe £400, or your meter's been going backwards. So I had to ring Blackpool myself. I said, look, I'm not senile. I wasn't much better off. It was only £2 difference. If I'd have left it and left this overhead heating off and used my electric fires, I would have been a lot better. Because now it's only coming on at 9 at night and it takes the room over an hour and a quarter to get warm. There's nothing left when it goes off. It would be on all night if I left it.
Good grief.
It's this lumping everybody together, isn't it? Like all southerners of this and all northerners.
Oh, well, I'm all in favour of lumping in all southerners together.
You know.
But anything else is racism. I'm none of that.
I know. It's kind of annoying because I know some of these that ring you up, they're stupid now, so they're stupid when they're old, but everybody's not like that. And,
well, I agree with you. I don't know whoever started the idea that when you're old, you're stupid. But it's generally believed now. You hear people talking about poor pensioners. I know some pensioners who are pretty well off. I know some pensioners who are damn bright. And I know some that are stupid, but they were stupid all their lives.
That's right, that's what I mean. I mean, I don't look 69. Other people don't think I look 69, and I just.
Well, it's all right, love. I'm looking.
Ringing you, I had to pluck up.
I'm looking 69 for you, Marion. So don't worry.
I rung up you two Mondays because I got incensed by something. It's a real effort. It was an effort to me, but it was nice talking to you.
Smashing. It's nice talking to you too, love. All right, love.
Thank you.
Ta-ra now.
Bye.
And our Marion confirming that not all pensioners are stupid, and whoever says they are, they're not. Only that divvy that was on before what implied it. Anyway, that's it.